Welcome to the heart and soul of Outdoors Radio. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show. In our 11th season, we continue to share facts and give advice on the great outdoors, where we never let the lack of facts come between us and a good story. Guys who are dedicated to helping you become a better outdoorsman. Your host, Gary McCoy, who's no stranger to the radio world or the outdoors, with a CMA to his credit for best personality. A well-accomplished outdoorsman who loves the thrill of taking a big buck or putting a bass in the live well. Mike Eccles, born and raised in Louisiana, who's fished and hunted his entire life and continues to chase ducks in the backwaters and pull bass off cypress trees. And the Boss Tournament Trail Director who runs the best team circuit in Louisiana. Steve Graff, raised in the woods and waterways of East Texas, a former Northwestern State two-sport athlete and tournament angler who continues to strive for big bass and winning stringers. And last but not least, Jay Watley, the brains and producer of the show who pushes all the right buttons, a man with unmatched talent who excels in making these guys look good and this show sound great. Now let's jump off the front deck and make the first cast with the boys who know it all, Gary, Steve, Mike, and Jay.
Woo, thank you for tuning in this morning. We are hooking up and tracking down 1130 The Tiger. It's Gary McCoy along with the Ranger Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff.
Yo.
We got to tell you right now the humorous leg of this three-legged stool.
Yeah, three-legged dog.
Eccles is gone.
Yeah.
He went to Mexico.
Do you think he's got a margarita in his hand yet?
Oh, I guarantee he's got a margarita in both hands.
Is it 5 o'clock there already?
It's 5 o'clock somewhere in Mexico. He doesn't care. Of course, Jay Watley is in the house today.
Hello, boys.
I was
What's
just
up,
noticing
Jay?
you were doing your calisthenics a minute ago. I mean, is that part of the normal routine?
Now, what is that word?
Calisthenics.
Mm-hmm.
You jumping jacks and your sit-ups. Do you
Yeah.
do that so that you don't miss the button?
Typically so, yeah. Everybody's got it. You got to get warmed up.
Yeah.
Before you take on something like this.
Do
for 2 hours.
you yodel to get your
Sometimes.
voice ready?
In the bathroom?
Yeah.
Are you a singer, Jay?
Yeah, of course.
Especially in the shower.
Especially there.
Shower in my
Are you
pickup.
are you a singer or a rapper? Because there is a difference.
Yeah. I was.
Could you rap? Can you freestyle
I'm not
rap?
trying to brag or anything.
Yeah.
But at one time, I was a pretty big deal on MySpace. All right.
Yes, you were.
At one time.
Yes, you were.
I do my own rapping at Christmas.
But
Hey, could you come up with a rap for the hooking up and tracking down show?
I don't. I mean, it depends on how much you guys are willing
Hooking
to,
up,
fork
tracking
up.
down.
Oh, I think it would go over well.
Yeah.
A hooking up and tracking down rap show.
Yeah. Would you do that for us? Come on.
I could.
Be a man.
Yeah, I could do it.
I know you ain't scared.
I'll put it together.
Hey, a man with 2 daughters, he ain't scared.
No.
I mean, you're there.
Yeah, I've been there.
You know what it's like to have 2 daughters.
Exactly.
When are y'all going to make another baby?
No, we. I can
Are
say
you out of the baby business?
I'm out of the baby business. So if another baby comes up, we're gonna have a really big problem.
Yeah.
Because I am out.
You're
I'm
done.
I'm out of the gene pool.
The UPS may have to have a DNA test.
Yeah. Something's gonna be wrong there.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Jay
have a big
says
problem.
he is no longer a breeder.
They took me out.
Hey, listen, we got some really, really cool stuff lined up for the show today. Of course, one of the big things was the Bassmaster Central Open #3 on the Red River. And you know what? I got to admit, Graff constantly is working on incredible guests and things for this show.
Yep.
And you really outdid yourself. Not only do we have the winner on the pro side of things, but we got the winning co-angler as well, which I don't think we've ever had before.
Well, you can thank Mike for both of these because he kind of did. He was right there live on location, helping with the weigh-in.
Yeah.
So he did a good job of lining up. Got me the numbers for both these guys. Made contact with them Monday morning, and both of them are more than happy to come on. So
cool.
Looking forward. And the thing I didn't know, Patrick Walters that won the pro side.
Yeah.
He was here 2 weeks earlier on the collegiate tournament.
So he was a college kid?
Yep. He was.
Wow.
So he had a little jump.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, did that really help you? He said, I knew what I didn't need to be doing. So it narrowed down some things for him.
Would you say that that's probably one of the things that an angler should really note most is what's not working,
right?
or what area of the lake is not producing, and what style of presentation is not producing the size fish that you want.
Yeah.
Is that as important as finding out where they are?
Yeah.
Is where they aren't.
Well, and I think what really helped him was I think he realized that the backwater areas just were not producing.
Yeah.
So I think it allowed him to focus more on the river system itself. And again, you can't. What they were here, 5 days probably for that college series deal?
Yeah.
So that's an irreplaceable experience. You know, we've always said time on the water
Amen.
is you can't beat it. So,
Right.
And it really helped him.
Well, he is going to be on with us. Patrick is the winner of the Bassmaster Open 3. Now, if he fishes the other 3 tournaments, he's got a bid into the Classic. Is that right?
That's my understanding. But, you know, I used to think if you won an Elite Series event, you were automatically in.
Yeah.
Well, evidently that's not the case because Strader won the Kentucky tournament.
Right.
And they didn't say he made the Classic. He's still trying to make the Classic. And I thought,
well, Hackney,
Wesley Strader.
You know, now Hackney, we had him on last week, and after he won down in South Texas on the 17th, he kind of alluded to the same thing, that he was trying to get enough points to make sure that he made it.
Maybe they don't take the Elite winners anymore automatically. And that, to me, if you win an Elite Series event, your butt should be in the Classic.
Well, I guarantee you that Patrick will know.
Oh, yeah, he'll know.
So
we'll
that'll be
ask
something.
him that question.
He's going to be on straight up 12 noon here at 11:15. Though we've got the co-angler champion Noel Allen Jr. And apparently there were some boat issues that he had to overcome to win this.
Yeah, he did. Keith Poche, the Elite Series pro, originally from now. We've had Keith on several times. Keith actually hit a floater on day one and dropped his lower unit in the bottom of the mouth of Red River as you're going in out of Red River South.
Oh, wow.
So they had to actually get him back to the ramp that day, I think they put a new motor on his boat.
Wow.
And he went back out and still had a good day and was able to make the top 12 for the final day. So kudos to Keith. But we got a good story that Noel's going to tell. Keith sacrificed his final day to make sure Noel won.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, you don't hear that.
No.
The Elite guys, that's just not normal. So,
wow.
Yeah, we're going to do a little tribute to Keith today. For that.
11:15, we'll do that. Of course, one of the things that's always important to us is our Facebook Spotlight sponsor. And this week on our Facebook page, it's all about Paul Davis and the gang, Paul's Farm and Garden. Okay. And, you know, it's going to be here before you know it. You'll be planting in the next 90 days to 120 days.
Right.
Your fall deer plots and stuff like that. A lot of guys are already trying to plant a little bit of stuff for dove season. Uncle Gary was telling me the other day he's planted a bunch of that millet and stuff like that, and he says, man, if I can just keep the deer out of it.
Right.
He said, that's going to be the biggest thing. He said, the deer just come in there and mow it.
Oh, do they?
Right, but he says, just as I get a good head on the top of it, and he says, man, the birds find it, and the next thing I know, he says, I walk out there, and there is nothing left. And so it could very well be that maybe, you know, as we move a little bit further into the season, Paul might be on, and there might be some stuff. Because, you know, in some cases, it's just not worth the money to put an electric fence out there on a 100-acre place.
Right.
You know, that you're trying to hunt. You know, with some other deterrents, things that you can put out there to keep deer out of it.
Well, especially at Uncle Gary's place, that getting power to some of those spots.
Oh, man, yeah.
Cost you a fortune.
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking about 120-acre pasture
exactly.
that just, it wouldn't be cost-effective to do that.
Boy, when deer find stuff, they'll wipe it out, dude.
I'm telling you, it's like women at a flip-flop store. I'm just telling you. I mean, it's just unreal. Okay, now V&M has got a brand new worm that you wanted to mention.
Yeah, it used to be this is not a new worm. They've got one called the J-Mag that I'm actually going to.
I got a bag of those in my boat.
Yeah, these right here, the V&M Wild thing.
That's the blue flag.
And you know, I want you to tell me. Of course, you'll know instantly, I think, because you're an old timer like me.
That's a big wag.
Exactly.
That's a big wag.
That's just like the old.
That's the same tail as a big wag. And now that's not their like their big. How long is that one?
That's
10?
the wild thing. It's a 10. No, it's 8.5 inch.
8.5. I was going to say that's not as big as.
They make a 10. They make a 12.
Dude, that's a big wag. Yeah. The tail.
Exactly.
Now the rest of the body isn't.
Right. No.
But that tail, that is a big wag tail.
And I think that's what they were trying to do.
Have you seen this in a pool or something?
Oh, Lord. The action on those are incredible.
Really?
Yes.
When it comes out of the package, is it attached or so it's already detached and everything ready to go?
Yeah. But
wow.
I knew you would know what that was.
Now I'm going to tell you, on a worm like that, the worst thing that you can do is underweight it. If you put too light of a weight on it, it will kill its action. You need at least I would say a 3/8 on that in order to get the most action out of that worm.
It's funny you should break that up. Yesterday, I'm watching Greg Hackney. Matter of fact, on our Facebook, on our website, not our Facebook page, on our website, I've got 2 videos we just posted. One is Jeff Crete on worm fishing.
Yeah.
The other one is Greg Hackney on selecting the right jig.
Yeah.
10-minute one. Greg Hackney's a 10-minute video, and Crete's about a 7-minute video. If I'm telling you, great tips on worm and jig fishing. If you're a jig or worm guy and you think you know it, hey, you need to watch these. I learned some stuff. Crete believes, especially on the 7.5-inch worm with a auger type tail, lighter weight, 3/16.
Yeah.
Because now this, like you said, like a big wake. It's got a heavy tail.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a big worm.
Yeah. He believes going a heavier weight
Yeah.
for those because you're right. You lose action. But on the 7-inch, 7.5, even an 8-inch probably
Yeah.
worm with the thin auger type tail.
Right.
Use a lightweight.
Sure.
Because it gives a lot more action.
Or a
to
trick
the bait.
worm.
Right. Or a trick worm, yeah. But anyway, great tips on our website.
And what did Hackney say about the jig? Did he go into weight discussion?
He goes into size. He goes into color. And it's like pros have told me that I've been fortunate enough to fish with or been around. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Dark water, black and blue.
Yeah.
Green pumpkin. You can't go wrong wherever you're at in the country. You can
Right.
get green pumpkin from California to freaking
Black,
Florida.
brown, and amber.
Black, yeah. I mean, he doesn't mention any other colors, but green pumpkin and black and blue.
Wow.
He keeps it that simple.
I'll be darned.
And what he says, it all depends on, are they feeding on brim?
Mm-hmm.
And if they're feeding on light-colored brim with the chartreuse tail, yeah, you want to match the hatch.
Right.
You want to dip some pinchers in the chartreuse,
Yeah.
whatever, with a light-colored, light brown, light green-colored pumpkin seed jig. And then early in the morning when the water's dark and overcast, it's darker in the morning, it goes with the black and blue jig almost exclusively.
I'll be dang.
So it's some great information with both of those guys.
With Eccles being out this week, I got a text from Jay Construction. Several other people jumped in there to be able to help out with this. Johnny Johnson, and I want to say that this is actually Johnny's cousin Toby who's putting this on. And looks like, based on 70 teams, first place would get $2,500. They're also going to have door prizes and things of that nature. So
Should be a great event.
if you're looking for information on that, I'm sure that you can get hold of Claude Eccles. Mike's probably going to have this, or just text me. And Claude sent me one of the entry forms. I'll forward that on to you.
Real quick, kind of to wrap up the Central Open here on the Red River, a couple local guys did really well, even on the pro side. Marvin Etheridge. Marvin finished 3rd overall.
Do you know him?
I know of him.
Okay.
I don't know him.
Okay.
But I know of him. I know he's from here. I know he's good friends with, I think, Mike. And he had 26-1. So he was only basically 4 or 5 pounds behind the leader, finished 3rd. And, of course, Patrick Walters won it with 30.15.
Would you have ever dreamed that 30 pounds would win a 3-day tournament?
I told
on
you
Red River?
what I was predicting about 14 pounds a day, and it turned out 8 pounds a day is about what it took.
Yeah, I mean, insane.
It's crazy.
I figured honestly that a friend of mine had texted me, said, "What's it going to take to win?" I said, "About 38."
Yeah.
I still 8 pounds over.
Yeah, I was thinking 42 to 45 because based off the results we saw in the team event from the college series,
Yeah,
there were some 15, 17-pound bags that came in.
not many.
Not many, but there were, I'm thinking, there was enough of those that, the right guys, good as these guys are, that fished the Open, I thought, well, somebody will figure that out.
Well, you know what? That's one of the things that I want to ask Patrick when we get him on. I mean, we'll talk to Noel here in a minute, and he might be able to say the same. Were the guys catching a lot of fish, just little fish, or were they just not getting bites at all?
Yes.
Wow.
No bites.
Wow.
Struggling. And, of course, you hate to hear it. Now, there were a couple of guys, I think Marvin might have been one of them, that said, hey, guys, this fishery is slowly coming back. You've got to be patient.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them had good things to say. Chad Wiley from Alexandria, another really good local angler from this region. He finished 6th overall. And Keith Poche, again, originally from Natchitoches, finished 12th overall.
And our boy Cameron Madison finished up, I want to say, in the top 20. I think he was like 16th or something like that.
Cameron Madison was exactly 20th.
20th.
Nick LeBrun was also in the top. I think he finished 18th. Local anglers on the co-angler side, George Hodges Jr. Finished 9th overall.
I just love George Hodges.
Yeah, George, he's a great guy. Known George a long time. And so congratulations. Now, Noel Allen Jr. has connections to Shreveport. Supposedly he's originally from here.
Okay, well, we'll find out here in a minute.
Out, but I think it's what Mike told me. I couldn't
Noel Allen Jr., co-angler champion from the BASS Central Open on the Red River last week. He's next with us, hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
I'm just a country boy.
The Hook It Up and Tracking Down show is proud to be associated with our fine sponsors, Toledo Town and Tackle, Daiwa Samurai Braid, J&J Exterminating, and V&M Baits, making baits that do one thing, put fish in your live well. Now back to the guys who love to throw V&M Baits, Gary and Steve.
And here's a little topic of CCA. I want to talk to you about CCA, Coastal Conservation Association, protecting our coastal frontage and waterways all across Louisiana. CCA is leading the way in coastal restoration, just like the Floating Island Project, sponsoring tournaments like CCA Star and Ride the Bull. Both of those are actually CCA Stars going on right now. So if you're headed for the Gulf, make sure you register for the CCA Star tournament before you wet a hook. Fighting the fight for the waterway access issues as well, which is a major issue going on in South Louisiana. So go to ccalouisiana.com to learn more and become a member today.
Hey, coming up here at 11:30, Johnny Geist is going to be on. I'm wondering what this little bit of front that's coming in has done to the fishing on Lake Fork. Or if he has decided again, to move over to Welch or Monticello, something along those lines.
Right.
We'll talk to Johnny here at 11:30. First, though, from the BASS Central Open on the Red River, co-angler champion Noel Allen Jr. And Noel, if you will, well, we were talking a little bit with Mike Eccles over the course of the weekend, and he mentioned something about you've got a previous connection to the Shreveport area. Did you used to live here or something?
Yes, that's correct. My family and I lived in Shreveport for about 4 years, from 1996 to the year 2000.
Oh wow! So you were no stranger to the Red River then.
Yeah.
No, sir. I've got quite a bit of time on it, even though it's all been in the past, and I've also fished an open here in the past.
Ah, so give me a little bit of insight as to who your partners were and what you had to do each day to adapt to what their style of fishing was.
Okay, I drew 3 different partners. They do a random drawing each day and pair you up with someone that you normally don't know, someone you're not familiar with, so you have to get accustomed to him and his style and his personality and where he takes you. All 3 pros locked us through into pool number 4. We launched out of Red River South in pool 5. The fishing was very, very tough on the Red River. Matter of fact, I only had 9 bites in 3 days. 7 of those were keepers, and 2 of them were short fish. So I knew every bite that we got would be critical. But on day 1, I was with Lonnie Messer from Texas. He's a great guy. He was nice enough to take me to get my chatterbait back every time I hung up a lot. I had fished the area he took me to years ago, and so I was familiar with the area, and I just fished history. I got that old Bass Pro Shops half-ounce chatterbait out, put a Lake Fork Trophy shad trailer on it, and went to work. We each only caught 2 fish that day, but my 2 fish went 5 pounds 9 ounces, which sounds kind of small and trivial, but in the scheme of things in that tough tournament, it was huge. It actually placed me in 8th place after day 1.
I know.
Would you have ever dreamed, Noel, would you have ever dreamed that you'd be that high with 5 pounds? As you're making that boat ride back to Red River South, are you thinking, well, this day's over, and then to find out what you did?
Exactly. And to go back a little bit, I came into this tournament. My plans are to fish all 4 Central Opens this year. I came into this tournament in a mediocre, in my mind, 18th place. So they take the 4 winners from one from each of the tournaments, and they take the top 10 in points after that to the championship. So that's been my goal, and so I came here kind of with high expectations as far as making it, but not real high hopes on the fishing. Day 1, my biggest fish, a 3.5 pounder. My partner had flipped his plastic there on a cypress tree, nothing. I skipped that chatterbait right back there and caught a 3.5 pounder. So I really felt like things were meant to be for me. I was blessed in this tournament. Day 2, I got a young man from Florida, Drew Cook. We also locked into pool 4. He had a good remote area with quality fish in it. It had lily pads, stumps, and grass, and I caught a 3 pound 6 ouncer the first few minutes we were there on that same chatterbait. And then about an hour later, I caught a 315, which ended up being the co-angler big bass for day 2 on a white popping frog. And talking a little more about how I felt it was meant to be, my pro had just thrown a brown popping frog to the same sloppy, grassy area, and he didn't get a bite. I threw immediately back with my white popping frog and caught the big fish, the 315. Wow. So it was meant to be.
Now, day 3, you had a little drama, and actually you got a new hero.
I do. I tell you what, Keith Poche, a Bass Touring Elite Series pro from Alabama, he was awesome. I met with him after day 2. They have a top 12 mandatory meeting for the folks that qualify for day 3. And Keith asked me, he said, "Hey, man, can you fish out of an aluminum boat?" And I said, "Of course. I'm from Gina, Louisiana originally. I grew up fishing ponds and creeks and lakes from a leaky aluminum boat." And he said, "Okay, good. We should both win from this area I've got because it's very remote. It's a small area, but it's hard to access. There's hardly any company back there." And so I slept very little that night dreaming of my first win because I really was taking him at face value that, man, we'd get in there and both win. He said he had the fish located and figured out how to really catch them on that final day. So I show up at the landing at Red River South Marina before the dawn hours of day 3, and Keith was kind of frantic out in that aluminum boat. Man, he was bouncing around full of energy, and he was talking back and forth with Chris Bowes, the tournament director, and they were trying to figure out some boat issues, some mechanical issues with the aluminum boat that we were going to get in. And it would crank in reverse, but it would not shift into forward. And they both agreed that, you know, we couldn't go out in that. So with only a few minutes to go before the blast-off of day 3, Keith calmed down. He became, apologetic about having to switch boats. And we got in his big, nice 21-foot Triton. And he said, "Man, I'm ill over, our bad fortunes." And he said that we can still fish, but he's got nothing really promising to go to. And he even asked me, just a casual weekend angler if I knew anything to go to. And I was flattered by this. And he did take us to several places throughout the day that I suggested from the past, but they didn't produce. And he just kept encouraging me throughout the day to stay calm, don't let this get us down. And he said, you're going to catch your fish, man. You're leading this thing. We got to get you some fish. You're going to win it. And honestly, guys, I was starting to run out of hope. And around 11:30, he said, neither one of us had a keeper then. And at noon, we got up in Port Lake. He said, let's go up there and run the clock out and just see what happens. It'll be right there close to the landing. And so I threw a black and blue rage bug over a limb and a treetop and felt the strike, set the hook, and pinned up just a 1.25 pound quarter fish. But little did I know at the time that small keeper would have won it for me.
Wow.
And without it, I would have come up 15 ounces short. So Keith saw the fish pinned up in there. He said, wait, hold on, man. He spun that big trolling motor on high and got me back there and got the fish in. And probably with 45 minutes to go, I was been throwing a chatterbait, still trying to force that chatterbait in there to try to get a big fish. I had a good quality bite going the first 2 days, but never could. Finally tried to make a long cast on that chatterbait and broke it off. And I said, well, something's telling me to tie on a white humdinger spinnerbait. That's something I'd caught them in there on the past years and tied that thing on. And he said, what about that brush pile way up in there? And I said, well, that's too shallow, man. But he took off to it anyway. He believed he could get there. And I was really worried we'd get stuck on a sandbar and I would lose my one fish. So, but what do you know, he got us over in there. And I threw that humdinger spinnerbait past it and finessed it kind of through them limbs, and up came another 1.25 pound fish. Caught it trailer hook only, and our fishing day was pretty well over. So
wow.
But he was just very accommodating. I mean, he's a great guide. He quit worrying about himself and just worried about me. And super guy. I had an awesome time. I've spoken with him several times over the phone since the tournament, and that just impressed me.
Wow.
That, I picture these guys being larger than life sometimes, but they're not. But one more little thing about the tournament. At the 2 o'clock check-in there at the landing, the officials come around and count the fish that everybody has and check for dead fish and measure them for possible short fish. And another co-angler that I know came up to me and said, man, I had a big day and I got a big fish. I'm pretty sure I bumped you out of first place. So I went to the final weigh-in at Bass Pro Shops in Bossier City, knowing that I probably had a second or third place. I've had 3 third-place finishes in these things before, and I was grateful for that, but I always want to get a first. And but once he went to the weigh-in stage, I was sitting in the hot seat. He came over to me, and he said, man, congratulations, you got this. I was only bluffing you. So,
man.
It turned out great, yes. But I've been blessed beyond belief, and I'm just riding this high on out. I'm loving it.
Well, no, as a guy that has fished as a boater, pro side of events, and I've also fished as a co-angler, I almost feel like every boater or pro side guy should fish as a co-angler at some point because it gives you a different perspective when you have a guy in the boat with you. I know I try to take good care of my guys as well, but what Keith did is rare today because I know there are some guys that I fish against that would never have done that, and they would put themselves first all day long. And so my hat's off to Keith.
You're exactly right, and I don't want to rain on anybody in the sport. They're all good fishermen and good, fisher people, and they all try hard. They've got a lot on the line, but you're absolutely right. I've had in this day and time, personalities are different, and, we're not all alike, so we fish differently, we think differently. Stress levels, you can see it kick in, but that's what impressed me. Keith just chilled out, and he told me. I mean, he was honest. He didn't exaggerate and say, well, I got backup spots. He told me, I don't really have anything going, but we're going to go run around enough, and we're going to find you your fish, and that meant the world to me.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Noel. What a wonderful, wonderful story, and obviously this is going to put you right where you wanted to be.
It is. I'm automatically qualified for the championship now, assuming I fish the next tournament on Logan Martin in September, which I've already booked up and ready to go. So
now, is this the first year they've done this format?
Yes, sir. They've changed it. It used to be 3 divisions with 3 tournaments in each division with no championship. So this year they went to 2 divisions with 4 tournaments each, and then a championship.
Oh, okay.
Well, congratulations, brother. Now we're gonna keep tabs on you as far as that championship goes because we want to see you do well there as well.
Amen. There you go.
That'll be great. My one last goal there is to win, and then it'll be paid entries, my choice, as a co-angler or boater into next year's event.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
It'd be a huge benefit. My wife and I went shopping for new boats on this boat certificate I won, and that was exciting. And I see that I'm ready for a new one.
There you go.
Noel Allen Jr., the co-angler champion from last week's Central Open of the Red River. Congratulations again, brother, and please don't be a stranger.
Thank you, and God bless you guys.
God bless you. And God has blessed Johnny Geis as well. He's living the dream.
Yeah.
He is the number one guide on Lake Fork, and he is next. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger.
Be sure to check out our website for news and information that's sure to make you a better outdoorsman. HUTDshow.com. This segment presented by Nichols Department Stores, Groove Fishing, Toledo Fiberglass, and K2 Coolers. Great coolers at an affordable price, made right here in Louisiana. Once again, here's Steve and Gary.
Speaking of Nichols, I'm just going to have to start signing my paycheck and handed it to Nichols. My wife has discovered Nichols and Manny, and she's like, oh, my God, this is the greatest place in the whole world.
Do they have flip-flops?
Oh, dude. They got all the little specialty T-shirts, you know, the Southern Mama stuff, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Any rate, hey, the fifth annual Fishing for Angels Bass Tournament is coming up. Mark your calendar right now, August 25th. It's going to be held, the weigh-in will be at Red River South. $5,000 first place, guaranteed prize money. It doesn't matter if there's one team or 200 teams. First place getting a minimum of $5,000. All the proceeds will benefit the residents of Holy Angels. Scramble format again this year. The lakes include Black Lake. What's Black Lake look like right now?
It looks good.
Really?
Yeah, it looks good.
I mean, this time last year it was a totally different story.
No, Salvinia has not been a problem so far.
Okay. Black Lake is there. Caddo is there. Grand Bayou, Bistineau, Red River, Toledo Bend, and Cross Lake. First cast going to be 6:30. Weigh-in line. You got to be there 3 o'clock at Red River South Marina. It is a team tournament. Registration Thursday, August 23rd, and the 24th from noon until 8 each day at Red River South Marina. And if it's like it's been the last couple of years, at least one member of the team has got to go by and register one of those 2 days. On the phone, he is Johnny Geis, Lake Fork Guide of the Year for hooking up and tracking down. And, Johnny, are you on Fork today, or are you on Welch or Monticello, one of the other lakes?
Now, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're on Fork today. We got a weather storm, kind of coming around us, just sprinkling right now, but they got the bite a minute ago. And, I mean, we lost 2 giants in the brush pile, so we're trying to squeeze out one more before we run to lunch.
Wow.
Well, I see you caught a 703 this morning.
Yep, Grandpa, Mr. Tom Whitaker and his grandson Ethan, and Ethan just had on his 2 big ones, and we couldn't get it out of the brush pile. I mean, they whipped him bad, but he did catch a good catfish after that, so we're after trying to get them bass back biting.
Now, if that had been Graff, he'd have cried, and you wouldn't have been able to be on the radio.
We'd had crocodile tears flowing.
So, our hat's off to Ethan. I'm sure he didn't cry.
Oh, no, he's still up there. He's guiding the boat right now, trying to get one more bite before we got to go in.
Amen. So what's it been like, Johnny? I mean, are the fish finally starting to move into their summer haunts, or is it still tough?
It's still tough. I'm catching a few out of each hole. I wasn't catching some, but out of 2 spots. But they're starting to show up. But it's not wild and fast like it gets. This morning it's cloudy, and the fish are sitting right on the bottom. And it's just not right. We only boated that one bass, and the little catfish got to bother us. We caught 3 or 4 of them. But it's close, but no, it's just weird. I don't know why we're running late like this.
What's your water temperature running right now, Johnny?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right here. It's 84.1, but it's been cloudy and a little misty, rainy all morning. So it's been up about 86 or 88 on a normal sunny day. But I'm marking fish right now on the graph. They just won't commit to bite. We got a major feed starts about 12:50 today, and I told them that after lunch it's going to happen. You just got to be at the right place when they're ready to turn up, regardless of what kind of bait you throw.
Yeah. Once you get that good Tiffany burger in your belly and head
the whole world's better then.
Exactly.
Dude, get those onion rings.
But, Johnny, with these cool days and the temperatures have been kind of mild here the last 3 or 4 days, and got these overcast days and got this frontal system coming in from the south. That should really turn on the top water bite, shouldn't it?
Well, I keep thinking so, but I haven't seen the first fish come to the top today. No shad jumping out of the water. It's something funny about on Fork. Sometimes in these cloudy days, they go to the bottom, just reverse of what you think you ought to do. But,
wow.
I've seen it happen before. In fact, we had trouble catching our little old brim this morning until we dropped to the bottom in 18 foot of water, and we caught one about every drop while ago. But it's just a weird day, and that happens on this lake. But hey, we one drop away from catching the biggest one we've ever seen. So
what about the willow bushes? I know me and Gary caught them in cloudy day that day on willow bushes that day. They were actually in the willows.
If I was fishing, to try to catch some unders and some underslots and twin a tournament, I'd probably be doing that, fishing smaller baits in bushes like that. But hey, if we come to Lake Fork and catch the big ones,
there you go.
Ethan's going to get his personal best before the day is over if he just don't give up on me. And, we've had him on twice, but I mean, I tried to help him on the last one. That sucker was hung up so deep in that tree and had a bunch of old fishing line in it. And, it just finally come off, but that's what happened.
Now, Johnny, are you starting to see your brim bite, get a little bit better than what it was? I mean, fishing with a live brim?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm staying with, because that's what everybody likes to catch the big ones on. And, we're staying that, so it's going to get better. I'll probably stick with it till the end of July. The sand bass just haven't showed back up. I don't know what happened to these things. I mean, they're so prolific, but when they decide to go somewhere, and very seldom do I hear of somebody accidentally getting on them. One guy said he caught some on a 6XD in the bend of a creek, about 10 foot of water, but other than that, I don't know how these things are avoiding the radar, the hummingbird, because usually you can find them. You just look at all the good spots, but they're doing something different too. And I'm thinking that's where the bass are. They're kind of mid range. They're not deep. They're not shallow.
Sand bass are like ghosts, aren't they?
They're very nomadic. They know where the bait is, and they've got balls of shad somewhere. I'm not marking a lot of shad, but every once in a while I see a fish come across the graph. But they'll shed or they've got some comfort zone that I hadn't found today yet. But we're going to be looking.
You know, now as you're looking at bass on your screen, I mean, or you're looking at a school of fish, and there's number of the marks and stuff that are on there. Have you gotten enough time with it now, Johnny, to where you can look at those fish and tell whether or not they are actively feeding or if they're just suspended, hanging out there?
Not really. I mean, I'm gonna put something on their head. I'll know quick if they are feeding. Obviously, you just can't drive around and say, well, we would fish them, but they're not biting. I have caught them 10 foot below the trolling motor in 30 foot of water. So you find the fish, you put something on their head. If they bite, they will. If they're not, it's just not timing for them. But once the dinner bell goes off, it's just unbelievable how many bites you can get, and it's aggravating that you have to wait until that happens. You know?
Right. Well, Johnny, I know you don't do a lot of it, but the night fishing bite, is that something some guys are having some success doing right now?
Yes, it is. I've seen several posts of some guys that are, I think these fish are so used to all this daytime pressure, they've got used to a pretty decent bite from about 9 o'clock to about 1 or 2 in the morning. And we got a lot of these green lights, and some of the guys are fishing them. So probably a good way to do it. I might have to break down and sleep one afternoon and try it myself, but I don't do a lot of the night fishing, but if that's what it takes to catch the big ones, I'll be there.
Well, McCoy's not a night owl either, but we might have to come over and do some of that with you.
That'd be kind of fun.
It'd be something different.
Yeah.
It would. We'll try that one time. We'll catch a good full moon night or somewhere we can see a little bit. I at least want to see my rod. I don't like it the black dark.
No.
I've been out there before.
No, I want to see if snakes
out there in the dark.
Hey, Johnny, now with everything that's going on the lake right now, are you thinking that that the fishing is only going to get better, or could it stay just mediocre all summer?
No, it's going to get a lot better, and every day somebody finally gets on a bunch. It's just they might be after I get off the water, or maybe they caught them in the morning and hit one of those spots. But we still got a great fishery. I mean, that Skeeter Owners Tournament was unbelievable, and there were a lot of 25 overs caught. So you put a lot of people out there, somebody's going to crack the code, and again, it's the right place at the right time. It might not last very long, but the quality of fish are running better this year, I think, than they did last. So I'm still optimistic this pattern I'm on is going to produce some big days.
What about your black salty bite? Are you having to use the black salties any, or are you just sticking with the brown?
I hadn't fooled with them at all since the spring. Got to where they were kind of small in nature, and it's been so easy to catch the little 3, 4 inch, 5 inch bluegills. So pretty much staying with that.
Right.
They live better. But guys, it's a beautiful fishing day. I mean, it's one of these blustery days, kind of southeast west wind and cloudy, and I think after lunch we're going to have a good afternoon.
I have never caught them from my couch.
No.
Nope.
Never.
Or Tiffany's restaurant.
No, well, I don't know. I can stack them up in Tiffany's.
Yeah, exactly.
I can get them piled up over in a corner. Johnny, if somebody wanted to come take advantage of this, because it is going to get better, there's just no way that as the heat of summer, because tomorrow is the first day of summer. I mean, a lot of people are thinking, well, man, if it's not happening now, it's not. Tomorrow is the first day of summer.
And the longest day of the year.
It hadn't even hit that yet. So if somebody wants to cash in on some of that Johnny Geis live brim, catching these big monster bass, what's the best way to hook them up with you?
Well, I've got 7 open days right now, and now at the end of the month, I'm going to take off and go to Arkansas fishing the sun a week. But from now to the end of the month, I got 7 good days. Call me at 972-800-3882. Area code 972-800-3882. I'm not promising it's a 20-25 fish day like normal, but we will catch the fish and have opportunities to. And that's when you catch the 10.5 pounder when you least expect it on this place.
Okay, 972. Give that number again.
972-800-3882. Website is lakeforkbigfish.com. It's got a booking number there as well. And we'll post this big old fish on the Facebook page tonight.
You know you're going to have it. It's bound to happen.
Yep.
Johnny,
Yes,
guys,
sir.
thank you, brother. And tell that young man to stick with it. It's going to happen.
All right, he heard that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Johnny.
We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger.
sure you check out our Facebook page, Hook It Up and Tracking Down Show, for some awesome information and great product giveaways. This segment presented by Cypress Knee Outdoors, Toledo Bend guide Daryl Gleason, United Rentals, and Steve Nichols Specialty Traco. Moving Earth and building roads to a better future.
If you're a do-it-yourselfer, United Rentals is the place you need to go. Especially, they offer off-site or on-site services, repairs for customers, owned equipment. If you've got like a power washer that's gone out, they will come to your place. Big Dino, mobile technician, will come to your place, fix your power washer, get you back up and running, and they'll come directly to your location.
I never thought about them having power washers.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, that's that. You just don't think about the stuff that that David and them have got over there.
Everything you would need for any kind of do-it-yourself project. Also, they're a forklift and man lift certification dealer. I didn't know you had to be certified, I guess, to operate a forklift.
I bet they got a sandblasting machine too.
Oh, I guarantee you. I know they do. You know they do. Especially those painters. I bet they rent some of their equipment.
Yeah.
Spray paint, the spray compressors.
Yeah.
And so call United Rentals of Shreveport. David Dushel and the guys over there. 318-635-6404. It's 635-6404. The job starts there. United Rentals.
Okay, now we're going to have a Bass IQ test. Jeff Pate already texted me and said that you lose.
Jeff Pate won't know any of these.
Jeff says that you can't even do math when it comes to bass.
Whatever.
Because you said earlier that it took an 8-pound average to win the Red River.
Whatever.
And it took
I was
a 10
off
pound
2 pounds.
Yeah,
Okay.
6 pounds.
2 pounds.
2 pounds a day. 6 pounds for
2 pounds a day.
Speaking of that, the Bassmaster Open on the Red River, the champ, Patrick Walters, going to be here at straight up 12 noon with us. He'll talk about what it took to win. All right, now the Bass IQ test. The question is what? Who are the top 5 anglers in career cumulative weight that are still active on the Elite Series?
This surprises
Now, why is this important?
Well, it kind of who really catches the fish.
Okay.
I mean, who's really catching them?
Okay.
First person, of course, comes to your mind. And says,
Do you remember Greg Hackney and Kevin Van Dam?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember back in the day when you fished a tournament? It wasn't just 200 points for the winner and 199 for second. It was based. You got so many points for winning, and
plus
then your
pounds.
weight
plus your pounds.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And it really mattered on those tournaments when it took 25, 27 pounds to win. It really mattered that you didn't have one of those days where you only caught 13 pounds.
Right. Right.
And so even though that's not applicable, even in these numbers, it's still it's kind of important to find out.
This will put in perspective how good Kevin Van Dam is.
Okay, is he number one?
No.
Who's number one?
Rick Clunn.
Oh.
Again, cumulative total for their career.
I don't know that Rick Clunn ever fished a tournament that he didn't at least have a limit at least one day.
Yeah, I don't know. But
there was never anybody any more formidable.
Yeah,
in my estimation. Yeah,
I agree. Rick Clunn is number one with 12,316 pounds of fish.
Does that give an average of what his fish weighed?
No.
Okay.
You may figure that average up for you?
Yeah, can you do that?
It's about 8 pounds.
Okay.
8 pounds a day. Stupid Pate. Like he's some math genius.
He's
out
sitting
there.
on a bulldozer right now, just praying for you.
Exactly. Kevin Van Dam is number 2, 11,506 pounds. Now, think about that. How long has Rick Clunn probably been fishing longer than Kevin Van Dam?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, at
He
least.
was fishing before Van Dam was born.
Exactly.
Yeah, truth.
So, Van Dam's already number 2.
Yeah.
So, that kind of puts everything in perspective. Gary Klein's number 3.
What about Larry Nixon?
Larry Nixon's not in here.
What? No Denny Brower?
No Denny Brower. Nope. I know. I was surprised.
Okay, who's number 4?
Tommy Biffle.
Really?
Yep. 9,800 pounds. Shaw Grigsby's number 5.
Wow.
Yep. 9,600 pounds. So.
I would love to know what their average is, on those fish. If you
talking about average, say if you average this out over their years.
No, like if they caught 918 fish that weighed 12,000 pounds.
Oh yeah, number of fish, basically.
Yeah.
I would like.
Are they just catching fish or are they catching good quality fish?
Exactly.
And what I would imagine a lot of that with Rick Clunn was back in the early days of Toledo and Sam Rayburn when. But you know what?
But you got to ask something.
You think about this. until the last 15 years or so, you didn't have these monster sacks coming out of Toledo or Sam Rayburn.
No.
You didn't have, 30-pound sacks.
No, but guess what else was different?
What?
7 pounds, 7 fish stringers.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of 5.
Yeah.
Now they're 5. Since Kevin's been fishing, it's probably been 5.
You know what? Since we're on this subject, do you think the day will come when it's reduced again, it'll go to just 3 fish as opposed to 5?
No, I don't think they'll allow that. I don't think even your 3-fish tournaments like Bass Champs tried that.
Yeah.
And dropped to 3 fish. Well, all the top anglers really got upset about that.
Why?
Because they felt like it gave everybody a chance to win.
Well, yeah.
Because they want 5 fish makes you a better angler if you can catch 5 big ones versus.
Well, then why not go to 10?
Well, I don't know. I guess conservation. I don't have a clue. I just know that.
I mean, if you're going to argue it that way, then why not? If the legal limit is for each man to have 5, why not have a 10-fish limit?
Well, I guess.
And then we see what shakes out.
Now think about that. Imagine putting 10
I
fish.
don't want Eccles to have to do that because he'd have a stroke.
Imagine putting 10 fish in one half of a live well. And they're all 6-pounders.
Oh,
It ain't gonna work.
I'd love that problem.
Something's gonna die.
Well,
something's gonna give. So
but
that's
why would
probably
you
why
put
they
it in
don't
one
do it.
half?
Because you got a team game.
No, I'm talking about on a team.
Well, a team deal would be
if it
different.
was singles, it would be 5.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But why not do 10 fish on a team?
I don't know. Probably, I guess it has something to do with
Conservation.
keeping them alive. Is
Yeah.
what I would think. All right, here we go. Bass IQ. Which lure was invented in 1957 by legendary Alabama lure maker and pro fisherman Tom Mann? We all know about Tom.
The man jelly worm.
I got to find my answers.
Or the little George.
I actually haven't looked.
Was it the little George?
Hold on. Let me find my answers here.
It's either the jelly worm or the little George.
Well, let's just see here. Page 43 is where the answer
When was the last time you...
Options are jitterbug,
Uh-huh.
devil's horse,
Uh-huh.
jelly worm,
Yeah.
or super fluke.
It's the jelly worm.
You think it's the jelly worm?
What is... It's, when
I'll
you
go devil's horse just to be different.
No, that's Jack Smithwick. Don't do that. Don't be stupid.
Okay.
It's the jelly worm. Just agree with me and you'll look really bright to the world.
Okay, I'll agree with you.
There we go.
All right. Man introduced the jelly worm in 1957.
Okay.
Still produces it today.
Let me. First bass I ever caught, a 3.5-pound fish on a grape jelly worm.
That's probably my first worm I ever threw.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
That or a twister.
Remember they used to have the double hook.
Oh yeah.
Had threaded.
And then the old cream with the spinner on it. That was before the jelly worm.
Exactly. What groundbreaking lure company was founded in 1977 by Ed Chambers? Strike King, Mann's Bait Company, Lucky Craft, or Zoom?
What was the year?
1977.
1977. Well, it wasn't Zoom.
And it wasn't Lucky
what was the
Craft.
third one? Lucky Craft.
I wasn't that. That's fairly new. It's got to be Strike King.
Could it
or
have been
Mann.
Strike King?
I would say Strike
It wasn't
King.
Mann's because that would be
Tom Mann.
Tom Mann.
So I'd say Strike King.
Strike King.
Let's see if we're right. Zoom.
Zoom was around in 77.
Yep. Zoom was founded in 1970.
When do you think was the first Zoom product that you bought?
He used a trolling motor to mix plastic in a 55-gallon drum to
Wow.
produce the first Zoom product.
Wow. I'll be darned. Wow.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Number 3. Fishery officials identified a new species of bass in 2007 in Florida's Chipola River. In 2013, the bass was named after which Indian tribe? The Creek, the Cherokee, the Seminole, or the Choctaw? I'm going to say a Choctaw bass.
I'll say Seminole just because I have no idea.
It's a Choctaw. So,
Choctaw bass?
Choctaw bass.
Okay.
I didn't
You know there's a Guadalupe bass, too.
Oh, yeah. You're
Yeah.
right. Besides BASS Nation events, how many Bassmaster tournaments did Brian Kershaw fish before he became the first and only nation angler to win a classic in 1990?
Besides the BASS.
Yeah. Tournaments.
No, wait a minute.
How many Bassmaster tournaments did Brian Kershaw fish before he became the first to win? 4, 7, 10, or 2?
Does that count the Federation tournaments?
I would assume. If they're BASS, yes. So
Wouldn't there be about 4? Somewhere along. Let's say 4.
all right, we'll say 4. I'll even go with
It'll be
one
2.
Kershaw participated in 7.
Really?
Before he won the Classic in North Carolina's High Rock Lake in 1994. So
Would he have been better than Kevin Van Dam had he lived?
I don't think so. I think Kevin Van
What
Dam
does Van Dam do that the rest of us don't do?
catches fish. I watched him this week. I don't know if you watched it. Major League Fishing.
I
He
didn't.
won the Louisiana Vidalia Natchez, Mississippi deal.
Okay.
He just won it.
Yeah.
It was on TV yesterday.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
But what is it?
It's incredible.
If you could pick out anything in watching Van Dam, what is it that he does? Does he just
The ability to adjust on the water quickly.
Yeah.
That's what I think his advantage is. He knows when to pick up a certain rod and a certain bait and go with it, and he's confident that, okay, this is what I got to be doing. It's not like, I wonder if this is what I ought to be doing. It's like, I know this is what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
He's confident in every decision. That's what happens on.
But I think that's
MLF.
probably. I think you probably just said it, and it has nothing to do with anything else other than the confidence.
Yep.
You know,
He believes in it. He believes in
truthfully,
himself.
when you pick up a trick worm, are you confident you're going to catch fish?
Oh, I become a different guy.
You know,
I agree. I am. I'm a different angler with a trick worm in my hand.
it's like myself with a crankbait on my rod.
Right.
I don't wonder whether or not I'm going to catch fish. I just wonder how big a fish is it going to be.
Yep. I used to be like that with a spinner bait, but for some reason the trick worm has become kind of my go-to bait for me.
Sit tight. We're going to find out how it all went down on the Red River last week in the BASS Open. We've got the champion, Patrick Walters, coming up, and how he conquered the Red River. That's next. Hooking up and tracking down. 11:30, the Tiger.
Homemade wine.
Well, there's still one more hour of the greatest outdoor show on the radio. You're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. This segment presented by Stingray Line Cutter, Despino and Jim's Big South Tire, and the Red River Waterway Commission, dedicated to recreational and commercial expansion along the Red River system.
Hey, it's Gary McCoy along with the Ranger Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff. The old mud hen Mike Eccles is he's in Mexico, right? Did he go on a cruise or is he hanging out on the beach?
They flew, and I think they're catching a boat somewhere.
Now he said where he was going. He thought he might do some deep sea fishing while he was there.
Yeah.
Patrick,
He is going to be in the nicer weather, though.
I was going to say Patrick Walters is on the phone with us,
Yeah.
and he's getting at least Eccles is going to be out of the storm on all of that. Now, listen, Patrick, with your recent win on the Red River, is that something? If you took some of your prize money, would you actually go to somewhere like Mexico and do some deep sea fishing, or is it just bass fishing for Patrick Walters?
It actually, tell you the truth, I actually saltwater fished before I bass fished. We inshored and offshored. We did a bunch of offshore fishing, and about 6th or 7th grade, I fished my first bass tournament, and man, it was. I don't know if you want to say downhill or uphill from there, but it was strictly bass fishing from there on out.
You know, it's kind of the reverse, though, because a lot of my buddies over the years that used to bass fish with me, all of a sudden when they found out just how good the speck and red fishing is in, like, Venice or...
I got a buddy sold his bass boat.
Yeah, exactly. They
bought a bay boat.
They'll completely quit. The next thing you know, they're running around in a bay boat, and you've lost your buddy forever. So it's kind of cool that we won one with you, brother.
Exactly. Well, I guess what it is, it's the thrill of competition. You know,
Yeah.
That's what hooks you. It's organized competition.
Well, you know, my mother-in-law says that nobody ever gets addicted to losing. So you gotta win one on occasion for that to be in your blood. And boy, I mean, not only have you won one, you won a good one. Now tell me, because of this, and I have to assume that you're fishing all 4 of the Central Opens. Does this give you an automatic berth into the Classic?
No, sir, it did not.
Okay.
Last year and years prior is when if you won an Open, you'd get a berth straight to the Classic.
Yeah.
What this does is this gives me the automatic invitation to the Open Championship, which there's only going to be 28 guys from both divisions. So it's 28 total, 14 from each division, are just going to be fishing this Open Championship. And the top 7 finishers in that tournament are the guys who end up going to the Classic.
Oh.
Okay, so you could be in 28th place, or you could be the 28th, the low man on the totem pole, and win that thing, and then you're going to the Classic. Or you could be
And
number
then you're going to the
1
Classic.
and finish 28th, and you're not going to the Classic.
You're going home, exactly.
Wow. So where will that championship be?
It's going to be on Table Rock Lake in Missouri, and in the middle of October.
That's a shallow body
Dude,
water, isn't it?
Yeah, it's real shallow. It's muddy water.
Yeah.
The mud bug bite there is real good. You're going to like that.
Chartreuse is a popular color there.
Hey, dude, let me tell you what. The one thing that you will get to find out, what part of the world are you from, Patrick?
South Carolina, right outside of Charleston, actually from Somerville.
Okay, so you've
South
never heard
Carolina.
of Santee Cooper or anything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just a little bit. Actually, we got a lake house on Santee Cooper, and that's where I cut my teeth at. That's where I do all my fun fishing is Santee.
Yeah, they have little bitty fish up there. I understand.
Yeah, they're pretty small this year.
It's terrible. I don't know how in the world a man would grow up trying to think that he could fish there in Santee. Well, give us the background on you, because from what Graff is telling me, you had just been here in the Collegiate National Championship like the week before this event, and you learned enough from that event to be able to use it to your advantage on this one.
Yeah, the jump start.
Definitely. Well, actually, that was my last college tournament. I actually graduated from the University of South Carolina this December, and I fished all the college tournaments. You know, when we qualified last February for this tournament, and it was the FLW Yeti College National Championship. It was 2 weeks ago, and me and my partner Tyler all ended up finishing 24th. We had 7 pounds one day and 6 pounds day 2, and you know, after you go to a different lake and you see how it fishes and you fish a tournament, when you leave, you usually get your butt cut and you're like, man, if I would have just done a little bit different, you know, usually the last day you're figuring and you're piecing things together, and you see how the guys in the top, how they caught them, and you just had that hindsight. And coming back to this tournament, I knew exactly what I was going to do, because I stayed right there in the main river and Port Lake, right there, within about 3 miles of Port Lake.
and all the fish were released from that college tournament right there at the marina at Red River South. And that whole bay was actually off limits for the college tournament.
Yeah, the whole
so 169 guys, the whole entire Port Lake was off limits.
Yeah, all the way to
Why
the
would they do that, I wonder?
Well,
they didn't want to catch
what
and
they
release
did was
fish.
they actually had they had a fish off for the winner of the college national championship. Whoever wins, the partner that team, they fish off, and the winner of the fish off gets to go to the Portswood Cup. And they actually had to fish off. The guys were stuck right there in Port Lake.
Oh.
So I guess they did it to just keep it off limits for some reason.
They actually went into coulees and fished in coulees on the championship day.
So they could do that?
They were allowed to do that. Yes, they were allowed to do that.
Wow.
All
right, so
I'm kind of
Patrick,
surprised then if they were allowed to do that because they both had 7 pounds.
Yeah, I was shocked. I thought they'd have big weights coming out of coulees.
now, had you
I'm with you on that one.
as you were doing your research, and you probably went back, 10, 15 years, in some of the articles that you were pulling up and stuff, were you totally amazed before the final weigh-in at the collegiate championship? Were you totally amazed that the slim weights that it took to win? Because at not too distant a point in the past, I mean, it would have taken 18, 19 pounds a day on average to even finish top 10, and here you are now to where 30 pounds wins over the course of a 3-day tournament. Was that something that you had to come to grips with?
It was pretty hard to grasp. I talked to a couple people out there, and they were saying how tough it was due to the floods. And I was like, 10 pounds, that'll be nothing. There'll be a bunch of people with 10 pounds. And then coming out there for the college tournament and practicing, I practiced all the backwaters. We spent 3 days practicing, and it was tough to get bit. And that kind of realized, I told my partner Tyler, I said, man, if we just get 5 bites a day, I think we'll do pretty good. And then I really saw how tough it was when we weighed in 7 pounds one day and 6 pounds. The second day, we ended up with 14 pounds and some change, and we finished 24th out of 169 people.
Mm.
Wow.
And so that's when I knew coming back for the Open, it's a little bit stiffer group of guys. You're fishing against Elite Series pros and 50 locals from Louisiana and Texas. I was thinking you'd at least have to have 12 pounds a day to catch them. But when we started practicing for the Open, it was even tougher than it was for the college tournament.
Right.
Because I guess those fish weren't replenishing. It was just the population was a little down.
Now,
And
now Patrick,
I figured. Go ahead.
Now, Patrick, to me, they should give you a trophy for the most days of punishment and torture spent on Red River, because you had to figure 5 days at least for the college event, at least 5 days for that's 10 days minimum that I can, unless you spent more than that, of catching 3 to 5 fish a day. That's got to be grueling.
In practice, it was you got lucky if you got 3 bites. And tell you the truth, I was actually going to stay out in Louisiana for the entire 2-week span after that college tournament and just stay and practice.
Yeah.
But after how hot it was and how slow that fishing was, I said, man, I got to go home for a week.
Yeah, exactly. I
Cool
don't
down and get everything back together, get my mind right.
You know what? You just brought up something for me. Was it a lack of bites, or were you just not catching, fish that would weigh? I mean, what was the deal? I mean, in that regard,
it was a lack of bites, I'd say. You could fish the main river where most of the key fish were at, I feel like, and if you fished, daylight till dark on average, you were getting, I'd say, 4 to 7 bites a day. Some days you could get a lot more, but it was 4 to 7 on average.
Mm-hmm.
The first day of the tournament, I caught 6 or 7 keepers. Day 2 of the tournament, I think I caught like 8 or 9 keepers, and then day 3, I actually caught about 12 to 14 keepers. I caught a lot more the third day.
And Patrick was only one of 2 people in the entire event that caught a limit both days, all 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Only 2 people.
That's when you know it's tough.
Him and Zach Burge. Zach finished 7th. Zach had 5 fish every day, and Patrick finished first with 5 fish every day.
So Patrick, did you fish exclusively on the main river the whole time?
No, sir. The first day I got majority of my weight, which was my smallest bag of 8 pounds, on the main river. And day 2, I got my first keeper out there, and then I kind of migrated into Port Lake, and I filled the rest of my limit out with the other 4 fish. And then day 3, I caught every single fish right there in Port Lake.
Was there something that you were doing that was different from the other competitors that you saw? Obviously, you won the tournament, so you did something different, but what was it that you were paying attention on that that you did that they weren't doing?
You know, I really was focusing on isolated wood always. You know, it's like the Red River, that's what it's known for. You know, just a small stick in the water separated from everything or right off the ditch. But day 2 and day 3 where I caught most of my weight was I was throwing a crankbait, and I'd make 15 or 20 casts to one stick in the water. I'd pull down with my power poles, and I'd sit there and I'd make 15 or 20 casts. And then finally, after, say, 10 casts or so, you'd catch one. And then you could actually throw back in there on the next cast, and you'd catch 2 in a row for some reason. It was weird. When you finally got one to bite, there'd be 2 or 3 of them sitting there. Sometimes you'd pull up to a piece of wood and it'd be first cast, but I really think it was just aggravating those fish enough with that crankbait and just getting them to swat at it and just getting that reaction strike.
Now, Patrick, you told me something. We were talking about it because I was comparing Sam Rayburn to the Red River. You said that there were a lot of guys fishing the bank, but they weren't going shallow enough. Is that right?
See, that's exactly what I noticed. You know, you could be sitting in 4 foot and you'd be casting the 2 foot, you know, that piece of wood, but it was actually the wood that you almost had to throw your crankbait on the bank. I mean, you could see it coming down. It was just kicking up mud, and then it would finally drop off. I mean, I'd say those fish were sitting about 1.5 feet and shallower.
Wow.
I mean, half the time their back would just be sitting out of the water up there. It was, and I think that has a lot to do with the water temperature. You know, the hotter it gets, the more you got to throw a moving bait, and the more shallower they get. It's
just like Cross Lake.
Everybody thinks they got to go super deep, you know, but those fish, they get slammed in the dirt.
So, Patrick, what is next on your agenda for the year?
I'm actually fishing the Eastern Opens as well, and I have the 3rd Eastern Open coming up August 3rd to the 5th on Lake Champlain in New York. So, going to have a 15-hour drive up north, but hopefully it's going to be about 75 degrees up there.
Have you ever been up there before?
Actually, I've only fished New York one time, and that was last year, and that was Lake Oneida. I've never been to Champlain before.
I heard it's awesome fishing.
I've never been, but I can only imagine.
Yep. Smallmouth.
It's going to be another vacation. Smallmouth, cool weather.
Largemouth.
What more can you ask for?
Now, what I understand, the south end of Champlain is mainly largemouth, but the north end is smallmouth. So a lot of guys that win tournaments, like Scott Martin, he's won a couple of events at Champlain. He always went way south to get the largemouth bite. Yep.
You got to run to Ticonderoga. That's what they call it.
Yep.
It's a far run. I mean, they say it's a gamble. I mean,
Yeah,
you may
it
get
is.
to fish down there for 2 hours or 30 minutes, but that's where they live.
Is the dream to be on the Elite Series?
100%. You know, that's been the dream for 7-8 years now. You know, ever since I started bass fishing, it was like, man, how can I do this for a living? And then watching Kevin Van Dam and Greg Hackney and all those guys, you know, those are the idols, and it's the Elite Series, you know. That's where you become somebody, I feel like, and that's the goal, is to get to the Elite Series.
What's your degree?
Business management and marketing. So I feel like it was, I could use it as a fallback in case fishing didn't work out, and if fishing did work out, you know, I could always market and manage myself.
Amen. That's the number one trick to the whole thing right there.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, congratulations, brother. And, you know, I wish it would have taken you 60 pounds to win so that, you know, we'd have a little more to crow about on our Red River.
Exactly.
But the fact is you won. It didn't matter what it took. And hopefully that's going to put you in a really good spot on the championship at Table Rock.
Yes, sir. Guys, I appreciate it. I'm hoping so. You know, sitting 10th in points in the Central, 15th in points on the Eastern Open. So we're right there in distance now.
Well, fantastic. Patrick,
Good luck, Patrick.
Congratulations, brother.
Guys, I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on. Y'all take care and have a blessed day.
You bet. Sit tight. Our Cigar hot topic of the day. When's the best time to night fish for bass, and what tactics work best?
Yep.
It's next. Took it up and track it down. 11:30. The Tiger.
Coffee in the morning.
Thank you for tuning in, hooking up and tracking down 1130 The Tiger. And don't forget now, every Saturday, 6 until 8 a.m., we re-air this show. So if there's something that you've heard that you want to rehear, maybe you want to rehear us bragging on Jay Watley.
Yep.
I know I like to listen every Saturday morning.
I'm just telling you, we are so fortunate to be blessed with the God of the production side of Southern radio. He is Jay Watley. The world A spoon when it comes down to producing, board opping, button pushing. I hear that, they've got this Olympic button pushing competition coming up, and all the other people backed out. When they found out
Drew their name.
They just no.
I'm not competing.
I wish our listeners could see the script of how this promo started months ago, and where it is right now. Because I have the script in front of me.
Yeah,
and it's about a nice complimentary 5-10 second script.
Yeah.
And now it's blossomed to this, and I love it.
He is the only guy to ever decline to be on the cover of GQ.
Really?
Yeah. He said that unless they were going to pay him to be on there, there was no way he was going to help them sell magazines.
There you go.
That,
About 2 years ago?
2 years ago, somewhere along in there. Yeah. Just declined, said no. Hey, thank you, Jay, for all you do to make us an incredible program.
Yep.
This segment brought to you by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Rayburn Country Resort, Seagar Fishing Line, and Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, carrying the best in bass and ski boats, along with a great selection of campers and motorhomes.
And before we get to our night fishing, Toledo Fiberglass, in business for 36 years, fiberglass repair and restoration, home of the Gorilla Hull with a lifetime warranty. If you have a boat and you get the Gorilla Hull on it and you sell it to Jay, that warranty goes with Jay and the boat. And if Jay sells the boat to Gary, that hull warranty goes with Gary as well. So, life of the boat, Gorilla Hull has a lifetime warranty. Humminbird and Minn Kota dealer, located just west of Toledo Town on Highway 6. To learn more, go to ToledoFiberglass.com.
Best time to night fish?
Full moon. I think full moon's important. Fish obviously become a little more active at night.
How early in the year would you start? Would you go in March?
I would. Oh no. I would say. I think when I think night fishing, I think June, July, August.
Yeah.
Hot time of the year, because those big sows, they move off and they get in those summer haunts in that deeper water, and then at night when the water cools,
they'll move up on that ridge.
They'll pull up and they'll feed on them ridges at night.
Yeah.
And that is the time, I'm telling you, my best trip ever was actually on Sibley Lake in Natchitoches, throwing a black buzzbait, had just a little bit of wind, a little chop on the water. Unbelievable.
Well,
Unbelievable.
Over the years, when I used to fish with the Black Bayou Bass Club, we fished a lot of nice night tournaments. And Lake Merval was one of my favorite lakes to night fish on.
Never been to Merval.
Oh, God, I love that lake. But one of the things that we learned was you kind of have to treat the moon like the sun.
Yeah.
You're still looking for shadows.
Right.
You're looking for stuff where there is light around, but if you can find that transition where the darkness meets the light,
right,
that's where the fish would be. And they're almost predictable. If you've got any kind of structure there, any kind of a depth change, whether it's 2 foot to 3 foot or if it's 2.5 to 3 foot,
right,
and there's any kind of cover there, find the shadow, and you fish enough of that in the night, you're going to get your string stretched.
That's exactly right. Another thing to look for is lighted boat docks.
Yeah.
Especially after midnight, because those bugs migrate to that light.
Yeah.
Which brings in the smaller bait fish, which brings in the brim, which brings in the bass. So by midnight or later, the lighted boat docks tend to be really good.
Johnny mentioned this while we had him on, Johnny Geist there on Lake Fork. He was mentioning these green lights. Yeah. And that's been something that's come up here in the
water.
Yeah, here in the last 4 or 5 years. My brother-in-law, Mike Craig, was on Lake Fork. I want to say one of the first years that they first introduced that. And he told me, he says, man, it was just incredible. He says, those fish don't immediately move off of those lights at daylight. Right. He said, if you can start where they've had one of those, especially if you're looking for a big bite.
Right.
He says, you'll be sitting there waiting. You know how you're waiting to get to when you got a trailer tournament,
right?
And you've launched, and you're sitting there waiting
to get there. Yeah,
and it's like, okay, we got 6 minutes. He says you'll see those blasted big old fish swim through those green lights.
Yeah.
And he says just because it's all of a sudden now it's tournament time, and it might be daylight for all intents and purposes. He says those fish hadn't just completely left. You can fish one of those and maybe get an early bite right off of one.
That is so true. I know when I went down to the Gulf with my brother, we have a beach house and a lot of canals. Well, you'll look down the canal and there'll be a green light here, a green light there, a green light. A lot of those homeowners and beach house owners have green lights by their docks, almost every dock.
Yeah.
And we can sit on the top deck, look down into the water below, and you'll see big redfish or trout swimming around those green lights. So you don't want to throw into the green light. You kind of want to throw on the edges of the green light. That's kind of what you're doing. But the same thing would be for bass. You throw it into the edges of it. That's where they're going to hang out along that edge, that darker water makes that light.
Yeah.
And the baits I've had the most success with, number one's been a black buzz bait.
Yeah.
I've never done much on a black spinner bait with black blades. I've never just, I don't know.
You know, it's kind of weird because I've gotten to fish with some of the best there is or were on Bistineau at night.
Yeah.
Jimmy Maddox. Jim Maddox was probably, he and Carl Smith at one time and old Bob Begley, probably the three best night fishermen that there were on Lake Bistineau. And they love that big purple, big old Colorado bladed spinnerbait with a purple skirt on it.
Right. Like
Fish
a
that a
tequila
lot.
color.
Yeah, like a tequila color, you know. And now I will say this. Jimmy Duck told me one time a long time ago, and the lake has changed a lot, Bistineau.
Right.
The lake's changed a lot. But he used to say that red shad worm, at night, you tie it on, you flip enough trees, you're going to get bit. But I'm like you. I still believe, and maybe it's just because it's so heart-stopping.
Right.
It's hard for me to throw anything but that buzzbait. If you got any kind of chop on the water at all,
I'm telling you.
It's unmerciful. Now, I'm wondering, you know, has anybody found that, you know, since we've gotten the whopper plopper in the last 2 or 3 years, has that become a go-to bait at night? Because used to, what was you mentioned it earlier today, the old jitterbug.
Yep.
Jitterbug used to be a go-to.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, nobody ever fishes a jitterbug anymore.
Now, the black spook, there's a lot of guys will throw a black spook.
Well, I wonder, have you combined the best of that? That's where I was going with it. Have you combined that with the whopper plopper? Have you got the sound of the jitterbug?
Yeah.
And then you've got the shape of the spook with the, you know, kind of an action. Have you know, has anybody... And I know I'm not alone. Somebody's been throwing it.
Oh, you know they have.
But if it's working, you know, then I'd love for you to leave us a comment on your Facebook page. You know, is that something to throw? And the terrible part about it would be, if you're on Caddo, you know, you can throw that whopper plopper out of sight.
Oh my God, you can throw the string off the reel.
How would you fish that sucker comfortably at night without throwing it up in the middle of a cypress tree with a wasp nest the size of a pie plate in there?
You better have good moon.
Just
be able to see a little bit.
That would be my only fear on that.
Yeah. The other thing too that I've done really well with, and I do well with it even in daylight, is a black emerald, old monster, or 10 or 12 inch worm.
Yeah.
That's a black worm at night. Just really seems to do well.
There used to be a point just down from Bass Haven up at Lake Erling. Used to be a point that came out, and the channel swung in real close there, and there was a little point of lily pads right there. And you could take, back then, you know, it was probably either a big wag or a Mr. Twister or a Toledo tackle, big worm that we had back then. And it was kind of weird. If anybody is familiar with Buck Perry's spoon plug-in, it was exactly what Buck Perry referred to as far as true structure fishing.
Right.
You had a little flat, it dropped off into a creek channel, and Buck Perry always said that if you find the places that he mentions in the book, you can draw an X on the water, you can fish there all day long, and at different times you're going to catch the biggest fish in that area at those spots.
Right.
And that's the way it used to be. You couldn't catch them on a buzzbait, you couldn't catch them on a spinnerbait, but if you kept that worm just soaked right there, you know, in those spots, yeah, it would pay off for you.
The other thing too, people have asked me, well, why is night fishing? Why do the bigger fish come up at night? Well, first of all, the shad are going to come up to the top of the water because it's a little cooler. So the bait, they're going to follow the shad. That's the bait. They're going to follow those. So that's why the bigger fish pull up. And even times, especially in the summertime, you're looking for that hydrilla and that grass. That's all fine and dandy. But at night, you don't have to have anything. If you've got good structure with a hump and that comes up to 4 or 5 foot of water coming out of 10 or 12, man, I don't care if it's slick. That's a good spot.
After the butt
That's a good
kicking I
spot.
took on Toledo Bend, and what I learned in retrospect was to go back to what we used to fish before we had grass
Right.
on Toledo Bend.
Right.
Rest assured, that's exactly what those fish are doing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm ready to play all summer long. In fact, I'm gonna probably do a little night fishing on Toledo now.
Well, call me. I'll go eat.
Okay, we are hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger.
Want to hear what you missed on today's show? Tune in Saturday morning at 6 a.m. here on 1130 The Tiger for more hooking up and tracking down. This segment presented by Bob Seeley's Big Bass Splash Series, Wildwood Resort at Toledo Bend, Bass Cash Bash, and Natchitoches Fort, your truck headquarters for the Arklatex and home of Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, the F-150.
You know, one of these days when I grow up, I'm gonna be that good. Yeah.
Yeah, you can only hope.
Couple years, a little more practice.
Yeah, well, you're still
I'm gunning for you.
You're still new to this.
Yeah. One of these days.
One of these days.
Hey, Paul's Farm and Garden is where you need to head for your gardening supplies. They are your gardening supply headquarters. Fertilizer, pesticides, plant food, anything you need to make your garden grow. And if that garden happens to be a deer plot, or maybe you're planting for the doves, it might be that you need to take care of some herbicides or something along those lines right now.
Yep.
Not only can Paul and them sell it to you, but they can give you great advice as well. They'll tell you, hey, this is what's going on. When you explain to them, this is my problem or this is my goal, then they can take you to that. They've been at this a real long time.
Yep,
and don't
experts.
forget about those food plots. They carry several different types of product that will keep your deer herd healthy, whether it be Tecumate or any of the other big name brands, the Whitetail Institute, any of that kind of stuff. They've got it all for you. A proud dealer of Purina products. That includes the deer protein pellets as well. Paul's Farm and Garden, North Market in Shreveport.
Okay, on the phone with us we have Morgan Banner. Morgan is Morgan, I got a question for you. How does a girl from Southlake, Texas, end up in southeast Oklahoma who grew up in the Texas Hill Country for 6 years, fell in love with fishing, and also getting ready to, her husband is Trey, our future husband.
Yes.
They're planning on getting married, I think, in October. Is that right?
November, actually.
Oh, November. Okay. Well,
During hunting season, but he'll just have to get over that.
there you go.
That's true love, baby girl. That is true love.
Yeah, Morgan's running the house already. See how that works.
Every year now. After every year, you're going to mess up that boy's hunting season with an anniversary. Every year, he's got to come home from the camp to take you out to eat.
No, listen, this is why I'm different, because I told him every year we could spend our anniversary in the blind.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, you're our kind of girl after all.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Morgan, we're glad you're with us today. And the reason why I wanted to have you, two things. Number one, we really are wanting to promote women in the outdoors. There's not enough women out there like yourself doing what you're doing. Tell us how you got started and what the roots of how you got into hunting and fishing.
Well, I have to thank my fiance for getting me into fishing and hunting. I've always been a tomboy at heart, so hanging around the guys isn't anything new for me. But he is the one that taught me how to fish. I grew up around fishing. I'd been fishing with my dad, of course, and all that good stuff. But no one had really taught me to throw or what to look for. And so, I really do have him to thank for that. And I have beautiful southeastern Oklahoma to thank as well, because that's really what got me started. The scenery out here. Trout don't live in ugly places, I will tell you that.
Yeah, that's amen to that.
We're fortunate enough to have trout so close to Texas, and it's. Oh, I have another.
Hello.
Well, then there was that.
Then Morgan was gone.
One of the things, if you're headed to Beavers Bend, one of the things that you might want to do when you stop by and visit with Morgan is give her a gift certificate on maybe a new cell phone plan, something along those lines. Does that work? Where is she? What? We never got that because you said Southeast Oklahoma.
Yeah, let me say exactly what we're trying to really promote here. We're promoting the Beavers Bend area right up there in Southeast Oklahoma. If you haven't been there, Broken Bow Lake, Beavers Bend area is a tremendous place to go, especially really for a weekend getaway. This is all part of our outdoor destinations that we're trying to promote. And Beavers Bend Fly Shop is where Morgan works out of, and I think we got Morgan back with us now. Morgan, sorry about that.
When Mama calls, you got to answer.
Yeah, I hear you. So, Morgan, again, let's talk about Toledo Bend. Beavers Bend Fly Shop up there, which is where you're a guide out of there. Several of you people, guys and gals that guide out of there. Tell us what to expect if somebody locally from the Shreveport market wants to come up to Beavers Bend, which is about a 2.5 hour drive.
Right.
What can they expect?
Well, first off, all I have to say is that Coach and Roberta, the owners of the fly shop, they are two of the nicest people you will meet. They always make you feel like your family, even if it's your first time in the shop. So please come on by. There's super nice people in the fly shop. But we have 7 guides that run out of our shop, and we offer full-day trips and half-day trips. Now, full-day trip is going to be 8 hours on the water waiting. We do provide lunch, and then we do provide half days as well, which is just 4 hours on the water waiting. So you get one-on-one experience, and it's just something that I recommend everybody try. I know people are always intimidated if they've never fly fished before, but seeing the smile on someone's face that is so scared at the beginning of the trip, and then they're so comfortable at the end of the trip, that's really what it's about. And so we just like to get people out there on the water and experiencing southeastern Oklahoma.
Well, Morgan, I can put a jig under a bush or in a bush as good as anybody, but when it comes to fly fishing, I would be dangerous to probably even be around. So if I want to go out with you, and will you have the patience to teach me how to fly fish?
Of course. And see, there's misconceptions there, because people think when they think of fly fishing, they think you're throwing this fly back and forth in the air, when in actuality, yes, that is a cast that you can use in fly fishing, but there are different types of casts you can use as well. So, of course, I would have patience with you. We take out people from ages, the youngest I've taken out has been 5 years old, and she caught a brown trout on a nymph, and it was amazing. So, yes, of course, we have patience.
Now,
that's what fishing is about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, okay, if I want to fish for smallmouth, can I go up the river and catch smallmouth, or do we catch trout? What are we really fishing for here?
Yes, you can catch anything from rainbow trout, brown trout, to smallmouth, to largemouth bass, to walleye, to crappie, bluegill, walleye. I think I might have said that already. Mm-hmm. But there's a ton of species of fish that you can catch in the river, in the lake, in the nearby rivers like the Glover River. You've got the North Fork. You've got the Eagle River. There's so many places you can catch different species of fish.
Morgan Banner of Beavers Bend Fly Shop on the phone with us, and it's one of our outdoor destinations. How far, what would you say, how long of a drive is it from here to Beavers Bend?
2.5 to 3 hours max.
Okay, so within 2.5 to 3 hours, beautiful rivers.
Oh, God.
I mean, gin clear water, great accommodations all around the area. And Morgan, when someone is doing this, as far as licensing goes, do you have to have? I mean, if you decided to keep some fish, do you have to have? You got to have all kinds of different stamps. Is there a walleye stamp and a trout stamp and a?
Well, as far as the fly shop and the trout fishing goes, because that's mainly what I'm guiding for, you do have to have a fishing license. That is the main thing that you have to have, and you're legally allowed to have in your possession 6 trout. Depending on which zone you're fishing, we have red zones and blue zones, so there are certain regulations that apply to those red zones and those blue zones.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely we encourage people to stop by the fly shop or the travel center when they come in town, the Heritage Center, and just get familiar with the rules and the regulations and the zones of our river. We've experienced some major floods, and it's been devastating to the, local businesses around. The fly shop was washed away by the floods.
Wow.
So, we care about those fish in the river, and we want people to keep coming back and catching fish.
Mm-hmm.
So we encourage people to do the right thing and, be an ethical fisherman on the water. If you see trash, pick it up. If you see someone doing the wrong thing, just educate them.
Right.
So we do encourage that.
What does an out-of-state license cost if you're going to trout fish there in that area?
That's a good question. I know Texas out-of-state license, if you're going to do a one-day license, it's $15. A 5-day license is $35, and a year license is $55.
And I think it's the same in Oklahoma because I actually did a guided fishing trip at Broken Bow Lake, my last trip up there, and I think I paid $35 for a 5-day deal.
And what does
nice.
And Morgan, if somebody wanted to hire you for a full day, what is a basic rate for that?
For a full day, depending on if it's just one person, 2 person, or 3 people. So one person for a full day, which includes, all your flies. I'm tying all the knots. You get lunch. That would be $325.
Mm-hmm.
That does not include waders and boots. You can rent those for $15, or you can bring your own waders and boots.
Mm-hmm.
So one person, full day, $325. 2 people is $375. 3 people is $425. So the price goes up per person.
So Beaver's Bend has everything. Fly Shop has everything I need to outfit myself for a fly fishing trip. I don't have to bring anything.
What about with when I hire you? Do you give me a rod, or do I bring my own fly rod?
That we provide rods.
Okay.
We provide rods. We provide the flies, the reels, the line. If you want to fly, some people are particular and they want to fish with their own rod.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, you're more than welcome to bring your own rod. Now I might have some recommendations like, hey, let's not throw that free weight today. But other than that, you're more than welcome to use your own gear. But we do have all the gear, so you don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money on gear. Come to us. We'll provide you. Get into it. See if you even like it. I recommend trying it out first.
Well, see, that's a great thing to do. Put your toe in the pool before you bail off in there.
What is the most popular rod, Morgan? Is it a 6-weight? What's the most popular rod that probably would fit whatever you want to do?
Out here on the Lower Mountain Fork, you could be fine with getting away with throwing a 4-weight. The 5-weight is the most common. So you could throw anywhere from a 3-weight to a 6-weight.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get into the bigger water, you could even throw an 8-weight.
Oh, really?
Now, speaking of weight, when we're catching these brown trout, what average size fish are we talking about?
What are we looking at?
Well, a couple years ago, it would be different. But now, the brown trout that you're looking at are going to be anywhere between, 8 to 14, 15 inches.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping that they will move up and spawn and grow and get bigger, and that's why the brown trout have a stronger regulations on them. They have to have there's more protection on the brown trout.
Mm-hmm.
What is a trophy rainbow or a brown trout? What is considered a trophy?
Shoot, they had one in Arkansas. Brown trout weighed like 197,000 pounds. I mean, it was big as a Buick.
God. Well, for brown trout can get huge.
Yeah.
I don't know what the state record is right now, but they can get humongous. But for the Lower Mountain Fork, a good brown trout would be anywhere from 20 inches to 26 inches.
Oh, okay.
And with trout, we go by inches, not by weight, like bass fishing.
Right.
Yeah.
One of these days when y'all grow up, you'll get it right.
What about the rainbows? Do you have? Is there more brown than rainbows, or are they about even?
You're you're definitely going to catch more rainbow than browns. We call the browns, the golden tickets out here. So if you catch one, you're lucky, and consider that a good day of fishing.
Oh.
But the rainbows are more common for sure. And a good rainbow trout, a 20-incher is a good day on the lower mountain fork. So if you catch anywhere from a 20 to 24, that's a solid fish, and you better put that fish back in the river.
And have you got like special places that if somebody just wanted to focus on the smallmouth, have you got special little spots that you can go where we're pretty much that's what we're going to catch?
As a guide, and I go out and fish. Yes, I know certain spots that I've caught smallmouth in. Now, I'm not going to guarantee to my clients, hey, this is the smallmouth hole.
Yeah.
Now, I can, send my clients to the Glover River. Hey, you can go to the Glover River and fish there. That's great smallmouth fishing. It's actually, a lot of people don't really know about that when they come up here. And I try to lead people that way as well, because the Glover River is beautiful.
Morgan Banner of Beavers Bend Fly Shop, Broken Bow, the southeastern Oklahoma area, a number of great bodies of water around there to fish. Now, listen, Morgan, is there a website? Does Beavers Bend Fly Shop have a website that somebody could check this out?
They sure do. It's www.beaversbendflyshop.com.
Imagine that. How creative.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have never guessed.
Yeah, I know. And they can also call the fly shop and speak to someone there if they have any questions. At 580-494-6071.
Fantastic. Morgan, thank you.
You
What
did
an
a great job,
You
Morgan.
did an awesome. Will you come back on with us again?
I would love to, you guys.
Well,
I'll
fantastic.
just tell Mom ahead of time not to call in the middle of it.
Yes. You tell Mama, though, that next time she calls, we better get apple pie out of the deal.
Exactly.
All right.
Thank you, Morgan.
All right. Thank you.
We'll wrap
Bye.
things up here in a minute. We've also got your Daiwa Samurai Braid best times to fish, and boat sales are up for 2017.
Yeah, they were.
Believe it or not,
Yep.
people are paying the freight to get in a new ride. Hooking up, tracking down, 11:30, the Tiger.
Falling in love in the middle of the night, just moving slow.
The Hook It Up and Track and Down Show thanks you for tuning us in today. This segment presented by Nichols Department Stores, Sproul Lures, Kamigatsu Hooks, and the CCA of Louisiana, making sure our coasts and waterways statewide are protected and preserved for years to come. One more time, here's Gary McCoy and Steve Graff.
Here's your Daiwa Samurai Braid. Best times to fish. This weekend is rated as fair on Friday and Saturday, but very good on Sunday. The moon will be in the increase from 65 to 85%. There's a 50% chance of rain on Friday, dropping to 10% on both Saturday and Sunday. High temperatures in the lower to mid-90s and lows in the 70s. Best times, mid to late morning, Friday, 7:32 to 10:32 a.m. Sunrise, 6:08, sunset, 8:25. Saturday, 8:18 to 11:18 a.m. Sunrise, 6:08, sunset, 8:25. And on Sunday, 9:04 a.m. to 12:04 p.m., sunrise at 6:08, sunset at 8:26. This has been your Daiwa Samurai Braid. Best times to fish.
Tomorrow's the first day of summer, and it's hard to believe that, that as we've concluded this spring, that boat sales could be anything less than what they were last year. I don't know that I've seen a spring where I saw any more bass boats, new bass boats on the water.
You're talking about this year or
this year? This year.
Yeah.
And yet last year was, I want to say, record boat sales were up.
Yeah.
And bass boats aren't cheap anymore.
Heck no.
I mean, when you consider now, honest to Pete, the first house that my daddy bought was like $13,000.
Exactly.
That was a house.
Yeah, and that was probably early 60s?
Yeah.
Late 50s?
Late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
And I want to say that his house note was like $80. Yeah. And he fretted every month where he was going to come up with that money.
Right.
For that house note. And I remember my first real tournament boat was a Tidecraft. Nice boat. I want to say it was like a 19-foot 19-foot Tidecraft boat.
Right.
175 Mercury. I think it was like $14,000 or $15,000. And my daddy told me then, he was like, "Oh my God, you've just paid for a bass boat more than I paid for our first house
that we lived in every day."
Now think about what bass boats are running nowadays.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you just got a new tricked out Ranger that's got all the bells and whistles.
Yep.
And
maybe my last new boat I ever buy.
I'll bet you that your first, because I know it cost more than the first house I bought.
Yeah.
I'll bet you it cost more than the first house you bought.
No doubt. Yep.
And you think about that.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Now you're passing up your own self, not just your daddy.
Yep.
You're passing up, and you think about what we've got invested in these nowadays. Are we seeing the return on that? It's the longevity of these boats at their prices nowadays. Have they gotten the technology right with fiberglass and with all the other bells and whistles that go on the construction of these boats? Because a lot of guys are financing them like 15 years.
That's the problem I see.
Can that boat survive that 15 years worth of notes?
My opinion, that's where these guys are going to get in trouble, and it won't happen until that end of that 15-year period. They're upside down in that boat basically
for 15 years.
For 15 years. And they're not going to get their money back out of it,
right?
Because they financed for so long. Interest rate is certain. They paid almost
so they'll
three
roll
times
they'll
the
roll
amount
the debt
of that
boat into the next boat that they buy.
Exactly.
And at some point, they've got $200,000 in a P-row.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's where I think the long-term financing may, in the long run, be detrimental to the boating industry.
Wow.
Because, I mean, think about it. It's just like a car.
The note's going to come due at some
car.
point. Yeah.
Would you finance a car for 15 years?
Ain't no way.
Ain't no way.
And, and they offer the 6-year financing now. And my dad always told me, if you can't pay for it in 4 years, don't buy it.
Yeah, for me, it's always been 5 or 6. We can't pay for it within that. We ain't getting it. So we don't mess with it. So,
I mean, what would a 5-year note on a $70,000 boat be? It would have to be over $1,500 a month, wouldn't it?
Just about, yeah.
Holy! I mean, can you imagine? Steve Graff going home to Sherry Graff and saying, "Oh, baby, I bought us a new boat. The note's real cheap. It's only $1,700 a month
at 4.5% interest rate. That's a good rate."
But now, after you got your dentures, Would you have to immediately take it back or what?
Well, hopefully I have my walker by then as well.
Okay, so boat sales were up in
Boat sales were up
2017.
total $39 billion in 2017, an increase
Dollars or actual numbers of boats?
$1 billion.
Okay.
In 2017, an increase of 7% from 2016.
Wow.
So
That's huge.
And I keep thinking.
Now, was 2016 a bad year?
No, not according to this. There were approximately 262,000 new power boats sold.
Wow.
In 2017, an increase of 5% from 2016. So my question is, and even when I've gone to the Ranger meetings,
they did half of that at Bayou.
Yeah, as a Ranger Pro staffer, every other year you're supposed.
They
to
sold 100 grand last 100,000 boats.
But at Ranger meetings, I've asked the question, where does it stop? When are you guys going to quit going up on the price of these boats? And basically the answer is, well, until they quit buying them, we'll keep increasing.
But you have to consider all the components that go into a boat. You have to talk to Lowrance and Humminbird and Garmin. When are y'all going to quit going up? You have to talk to Mercury and Evinrude and.
Well, some of these boats have got heated seats.
Really?
Heated seats,
you can get a
dude.
heated seat? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, you get heated seats in them now.
That must be why Jeff Payton and Eddie Shaw do so good. Jeff's got heated seats in that Skeeter boat.
And I'm just like, come on, man. The bells and whistles are what makes the boat so much more expensive.
Would you say that the greatest increase, though, has been in the cost of electronics?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, electronics on a boat they're so high tech now. Plus your engines. Look at your engines now.
Oh, yeah.
They're all computer operated, basically.
And just, speaking of engines, motors. I mean, the trolling motor. The spot lock, what is that? What do you got, $2,000 tied up in a trolling motor at that point? $2,500?
That is worth every penny I spent on that sucker.
If you got one on yours?
Yes.
And tell me now,
I ever had.
Have you actually put your boat on spot lock and went back and tied on a bait or whatever, and then gone back and your boat's staying right there?
I can't even count how many times I've used that.
Is that not the greatest thing in the whole wide world?
And I remember when I first got my first Talon shallow water anchor, which was an 8-footer.
Yeah.
When I first got that, I thought, because people had them for a while before I'm one of those guys that's slow to jump on board.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, when I got the one I got and put on my last Ranger, I was like, how handy that sucker was. I was like, why didn't I do this when they first came out? Now I've got 2 on mine, but they're 10-footers instead of 8.
Yeah.
But now that I've got the shallow water, spot
you don't need them.
Well, they still come in handy in shallow water.
If you're trying to be real quiet.
Exactly. If you're trying to fish a bed, you can lock down on that bed.
Yeah.
But, dude, out in open water in that 10, 12, 14-foot of water, 30-foot of water, you hit that spot lock on there, and it's incredible. You ain't going nowhere.
What was the learning curve for you on getting used to – there's a little bit of a lag on that type of a trolling motor on the responsiveness. I mean, it's not like your old cable-operated trolling motors. Has yours got the electronic foot, where you're totally portable, or you can do it with your remote control?
I don't use it.
You don't use that?
I never use it. It stays in the box.
Well, but it seems to me like, with that battery operated little foot that makes it totally portable and everything, the foot control, there's a little bit of a lag, and you got to get used to that because it's not as responsive as the old cable driven trolling motor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean it don't happen right now. You
push the button.
You push it, and then it takes it a second. It goes, oh, okay, you want to go to the left.
Huh.
Well, dude, I'm already up in the boathouse now.
I'm in the bushes.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in again this week. And Eccles is out again next week?
He's out again next week. We got 2 weeks of freedom.
Hey.
We're going to enjoy this.
Take us home, Graf.
We need to talk about him.
Hey,
All right, here's this week's final word. It's not often in today's competitive tournament bass fishing world that a person shows great sportsmanship. In the past, I've seen and heard of situations on the water that made some professional anglers look like jerks. For co-anglers fishing out of the back of the boat, it can be a nightmare if you draw a pro who does not even recognize that you're even in a boat. But once in a while, a pro like Keith Poche goes above and beyond to make sure his co-angler has a shot to win on the final day, despite the fact he has boat trouble. Keith recognized that he was not in a hunt to win and sacrificed his day to make sure his co-angler had a shot at winning. Even though the fishing was tough, Keith stayed positive with his co-angler all day and kept his spirits and confidence up with encouraging words. This is something you just don't see very often today. Thank you, Keith Poche, for being a true professional and showing what sportsmanship really is. For Mike Eccles, Gary McCoy, Jay Wiley, Yours truly, Steve Graff. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week here on 1130 The Tiger for more Hooking Up and Tracking Down.